أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربنا زدنا علما آمين يا رب العالمين. Welcome to lesson number 25 of our study of advanced Nahwu and structures. Today, inshallah, we are going to learn about الظروف that are المقطوعة عن الإضافة. To learn about them, we need to learn first this term al-mukhaffafat. A mukhaffaf word is one that has been shortened from a larger compound, or it can be an idafa construction whose mudaf ilayh has been omitted. So these mukhaffafat are also called as al-ghayat or al-maqtu'a anil idafa because they are the adverbs of the purpose or the time. So the common examples that we see from al-maqtu'a anil idafa are qablu, ba'du, alwu or ilwu, amsi, hasbu, la ghayru. Qablu means before, ba'du means after, alwu or ilwu means the height or the elevation or on top. Amsi means yesterday, hasbu means according to, as per or only, and then we have la ghairu that means nothing more. So we need to remember a few points before going into detail that this al-maqtu'an al-idafa, when we are learning about it, it is an idafa construction whose mudaf alayh has been omitted. But sometimes the meaning is intended, and inshallah we are going to learn different cases. In such cases, the noun that would normally follow is understood. Also, these roof are mabni al dam, that means they end with a dhamma, so they are rafa in the state. We have like the normal construction for idafa, that is the mudaf and mudaf ilayh. We know that with the mudaf, if the mudaf ilayh is mentioned, that is the normal construction of the idafa. So what is the hukum? We need to follow a normal rule. So with all of those those roof that are al-maqtu an al-idafa, we are going to focus on qablu and badu because they appear in the Quran many times. So when qablu and badu are used as mudaf and their mudaf ilayh is clearly mentioned, there is no problem. They are going to act like normal zuruf. They will be maful fihi in the sentence, and also they become mansoob like all the zuruf with the fatha. We'll see the examples as well. So this is the normal ruling for or the hukum for the mudaf and mudaf ilayh, the idafa construction when the mudaf ilayh is mentioned. And we are going to focus on the zuruf, the qablu and badu. Here you can see this example. كذبت قبلهم قوم نوح وأصحاب الرس والثمود. So here you can see the people of the Nu denied before them and the companions of the well and Samud. So here you can see this normal zuruf, this zarf qabla with its in the form of idafa with its mudaf mentioned. So as we learn that when we have the idafa construction where the mudaf has mudaf mentioned, we are going to follow the normal rules, and that zarf is going to act like maful fihi, and also it will be mansoob bil fatha. كذبت قبلهم قوم نوح وأصحاب الرس وثمود. So here mudaf ilayh. Here we can see clearly that the mudaf ilayh is mentioned. Then we have again the mudaf and mudaf ilayh mentioned, but also they are preceded by the harf of jar. So what is the hukum? That construction will be in the state of jar. It will be majroor. We are going to again follow the normal rules for jar majroor fragment, and that is when any ism is after the harf of jar, it will be in the state of jar. It will be majroor. So if these mudaf and when the mudaf is mentioned, they are going to come after a harf of jar, then they are going to become majroor. Like the example min qablihim. Here we can clearly see that this mudaf with its mudaf ilayh becomes majroor because of this harf of jar min. So these are the two rules that we learn, that when mudaf and mudaf ilayh is mentioned, we are going to follow the normal rule. Normal ruling for this, we have this and then we have this. In this construction, the mudaf and mudaf ilayh is mentioned after the harf of jar, so it becomes min qablihim. Now let's see the first case, that for al-maqtu'a anil idafa, where we have the qablu or ba'du, in which there is the construction of idafa, but we have the mudaf ilayh omitted or mahzuf. So the first case that we are going to see is when the mana is intended. This is the first case that we are going to learn. So when the word is part of the dafa and the mudafili is understood but not mentioned. So the meaning is still intended. So that means the mana is intended. So what is the hukum? It will be mabni ala dam. This is what we are going to remember. When a mudaf is without its mudaf lay, so that will be, even if it is preceded by the harf of jar, it is not going to be in the form of jar and it will stay mabni ala dam. This is the first case for the idafa construction when the mudafili is not mentioned but the meaning is intended. So here, if the mudafili is not mentioned but only understood in meaning, then qablu and ba'du become mabni ala dam, ending with a dhamma, no matter what the position is. So after min, still badu and kablu are not going to take the position of, or going to take the state of jar. Here the example, min qablu and min badu. So these do not change because they are fixed, they are mabni. So what is the ruling and why we are going to follow this ruling? Because here the mudafili is not mentioned, but the meaning is intended. So this meaning is intended is, that is all about the context in the Quran. When you are going to read the context or the full ayah, we are going to see that whatever is coming after is this mudafili, it is intended. So the meaning is intended, and that is why, but it is not mentioned, mudafili is not mentioned. We are going to follow this ruling that it will be mabni ala dam. All these maqtu anil idafa zuruf will be mabni ala dam. As you can see, min qablu and min badu. So we have seen many times in the Quran where qablu and badu are have come with the harf of jar, and that is quite confusing, but there are few cases, and the first case is this, that when there is a mana intended for the mudafile, so it will be mabni ala dam, as you can see in this ayah. وَالْجَانَّ خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ قَبْلُ مِنْ نَارِ السَّمُومِ, and the jinn we created before from scorching fire. And also here you can see أُولَٰئِكَ أَعْظَمُ دَرَجَةً مِنَ الَّذِينَ أَنْفَقُوا من بعد وقاتلوا وكلا وعده الله الحسنى وعد الله الحسنى والله بما تعملون خبير. Those are greater in degree than who spend afterwards and fought. So here, but to Allah has promised the best reward. So here we have seen min qablu and min badu, even though they are preceded by the harf of jar, but they remain in the state of rafa and they are mabni ala dam because they did not change it. And the reason is that the meaning of the mudafili is intended in this. And that is what we are going to see when we are going to get the context of this ayah. Also here, you can see another example. في بدء سنين لله الأمر من قبل ومن بعد ويومئذ يفرح المؤمنون. So here also you see that within 3 to 9 years, to Allah belongs a command before and after, and that day the believers will rejoice. So here you can see another example where these two men, Qablu and when Babdu has appeared. So again, we see here min qablu wa min ba'du because the mudafali is not mentioned here, but it is intended in the meaning. So this phrase min qablu and min ba'du just clarify that the command belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is this? When we are going to like if we are going to get the context of all this tafsir of this ayah, we'll see that this is going to, this min qablu and min ba'du just clarified that the command belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala both before and after the specific event just mentioned, in the preceding verses. This is because this surah is Surah Ar-Rum, and we know that this is all about the Byzantine victory. So this structure emphasizes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ultimate authority over all the matters and all times. As we see here in this min qablu wa min ba'du just means before and after. This just refers to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concerning the victory of the Romans over the Persians, and specifically before just refers to the initial Roman defeat, and after refers to their just subsequent victory within 3 to 9 years, both of which are just subject to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. So this is the context. We have this verse. And this just discusses about the eventual victory of the Romans after their initial defeat by the Persians, a victory that was not just solely dependent on either side's power. So this is the meaning that this phrase emphasizing that the ultimate decision in both the initial defeat and the subsequent victory lies with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we see here, Membadu and Qablu just means before and after, and it is just referring to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concerning the victory of the Romans over the Persians. And this, we know that this just is specifically this before refers to the initial Roman defeat, and after just refers to their victory within those 3 to 9 years, and both are just dependent for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. So you see here how this mutafili has not been mentioned, but we know that with the context that the meaning is intended here for mutafili, and that is why we have this first case in which we see both of them mabni al dam, even though they are preceded by the harf of jar min. Okay, so here we have this again. This ayah, and this is just detached in wordings only, and as we are learning here, and we see that this is very rare in the the grammarians. The Nahrin has said that this is quite rarer, and they do not take the tanween. As we can see here, they do not take the tanween. Also, there is an example of Lillahi al-amru min qablu wa min ba'du. Again, the same thing we see here, that the meaning is intended here, and that is why, if you're going to go into the context, you will see that again, the meaning of the mudafili is intended, and that is why we have this first case of this al-maqtu'a an al-idafa. Also, we see here وَمِن قَبْلُ مَا فَرَّطْتُمْ فِي يُوسُف. So this is attached, detached in the wording, because we do not see here any mudafili. وَمِن قَبْلُ مَا فَرَّطْتُمْ فِي يُوسُف. So here again it is مبني على الدم, and also this لله الأمر من قبل ومن بعد. So it just refers to a specific time frame. So these also two are the examples of this first case of when mudafili is not mentioned, but the meaning is intended. And we have discussed in detail the surah Rum, in which the meaning is intended for mudafili. Then we have the second case, when the mudafili mahzuf, again, it is hidden, but lafzan, it is intended. So what we are going to do now? Now we are going to follow the normal rules. Normal rules for, like you can say, it is for as for the idafa construction, mudaf and mudaf alayh. So here the speaker intends idafa but does not say the mudaf alayh because the mudaf alayh is intended in lafzan. So we see that qablu and ba'du having no tanween, and they are used as zarf with the fatha, and also if they are preceded by harf of jar, they are going to take the kasra. As you can see in these examples, وَمِن قَبْلِ نَادَى كُلُّ مَوْلَى. It is just text from a poetry. كَرَابَةً فَمَا أَتَفَتْ مَوْلَى عَلَيْهِ الْعَوَاطِفُ. When mudafli is mentioned, the same lines will be here. You can see the zalika, added zalika. وَمِن قَبْلِ ذَلِكَ نَادَى كُلُّ مَوْلَى كَرَابَةً فَمَا أَتَفَتْ مَوْلَى عَلَيْهِ الْعَوَاطِفُ. So this is the example in which we see that we have the normal construction, and because this mudafili is intended lafzan, we are going to follow the normal rules for mudafili and mudafili. As because it is preceded by harf of jar, and we see that here there is the kasra because now the mudafili is mahzuf, but it is intended lafzan. In the first case, it was intended manan. Again, the third case now we have when there is no idafa uh, intended. So what is the hukum now? It is going to be fully flexible word. It is going to be fully flexible word, like words like here you can see qablan and ba'dan just behave like the regular adverbs, and they are fully flexible, and they are usually going to be mansoob, and they are going to take the tanween. They are going to be fully flexible. If there is no, there is the idafa, mudafle is not mentioned, but also, so we see there is idafa, but mudafali is not at all intended, not in the meaning and not in the, like you can say, lafzan. So it is not intended lafzan and not intended in mana. So we have this example, kuntu qablan aquddu bil ma'i, aghussu bil ma'i. So here you can see this qablan, so it is telling us that it is without the dafa. And the mudaf, this here, we do not see any mudaf ilayh, and also it is not intended lafzan and also not intended in manan. So this is just example. I used to choke on water earlier. Also, this is means to choke or struggle when swallowing. So let's see here this example in detail. We have this مقطوعة الإضافة لفظا ومعنى. So it is, you can say it is just detached. This is just detached إضافة لفظا and معنى both. And that is why we see قبلا in this fully flexible state. In the first case, we see that the qablu is like a qablu or badu, they are mabni al dam in the second state, or in the second case, we see if it is intended lafzan, we are going to follow a normal condition and for jar majrur fragment, and that means the qablu or badu is going to take kasra if they are preceded by harf of jar. Now here we see the third case in which the mudafili is not intended lafzan or manan. فزاغ لي الشراب وكنت قبلا أكاد أغص بالماء الزلال ونحن قتلنا الأسد أسدا خفيتي فما شربوا بعدا على لذة الخمر. So this is the whole text in which of the poetry you can see here. فزاغ لي الشراب, the drink went down smoothly for me. So why? And the reason is given. وَكُنْتُ قَبْلًا أَكَادُ أَغُصُّ بِالْمَاءِ الزُّلَالِ. And before I used to almost choke on the pure water. So this is just a form of poetry in which we see قَبْلًا when there is no idafa intended or there is no mudafili intended lafzan or manan. So that is why we see it in the state that is fully flexible. Also, وَنَحْنُ قَتَلْنَا على أسد خفية, and we killed a lion of steel, a lion that attacks secretly. So this is the meaning here. Also, it continues from Asharibu Bodan ala lazzatin khamran. So they never drank wine again after that pleasure. So that is, they did not drink wine anymore after enjoying it. Means uh, 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 they resisted due to the fear or the caution. So here we see Qablan as al-Maqtu'an al-Idafa, Labzan wa Ma'nan. Also, we see Ba'dan al-Maqtu'an al-Idafa, Labzan wa Ma'nan, and that is why they are fully flexible here. This is just a text from a poetry in which this Qablan and Ba'dan are given here because they just appear al maqtu'an al idafa, which is lafzan wa ma'nan. So we learn about the three cases and about al maqtu'a, those rules that are al maqtu'a an al idafa. The first one, like it was uh, al maqtu'a an al idafa when it was, but the meaning is intended, and we saw that in that case we are going to like see mostly qablu and badu having the dhamma. Also we have the al-maqtu'an al-idafa, that is only when mudafali is hidden but we see it like the meaning is intended lafzan, then we see we are going to follow the normal rule for the the jar majroor, and we are going to see the kasra like min qabli, and also uh, for the last case that it is the detached in wording and meaning, like it is maktu and idafa lafzan wa manan. So we do not see any intent of the meaning and the lafzan wording, so that is why we see this fully flexible form of qablan wa badan. So this is Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. These we learn about the zuruf that are maqtu'a anil idafa. We learn about the three cases. Um, and inshallah, this is going to help us in a study of the Quranic grammar when we see this qablu and badu having a dhamma, even they are preceded by the harf of jar, and that is the most confusing condition when we see when we are doing any grammatical analysis of any ayah in which the qablu and badu appear. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.